833-231-0864. Stations your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion. And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Jordan Brenner in for Joey Mack here on a Wednesday. Busy week here across the Oregon Athletic Department. We got midweek Wednesday hoops today with Oregon women's basketball taking on the UCLA Bruins in a non-Pac-12 contest. That doesn't take away from the importance of it. It's still a critical game for the Ducks, who are still hunting for home court advantage, at least as long as they can when we get to the NCAA tournament. So we got that. A big preview of that. Rob Moseley is going to join us here in about 5 minutes or so, editor of GoDucks.com. We'll touch on women's basketball, men's basketball, as they will take off in a couple hours here and head down to the desert for a 2-game series against Arizona State, and then the big one against Arizona later in the weekend. Later on in the show, it's officially spring, folks. We got Coach Waz, a 2-part interview. Joey Mack was able to check in with him yesterday, I believe. We'll play that interview, both of its parts, and if we can, we're going to get to Coach Lombardi, who spoke to the media yesterday previewing what will be an exciting week down in the Lone Star State. First against Texas State, a postseason rematch. Remember, those two teams met up in the Texas Regional last year, and the team split those games. So maybe revenge on the mind of the Ducks. And then 3 games in Waco against Baylor. That should be a fun matchup. I think a great uniform matchup as well between the Ducks and the Baylor Bears. I want to start, though, before we get to Rob Moseley, talking about Oregon women's basketball, that 4 o'clock game against UCLA. Folks, it's been a busy stretch of basketball for the Ducks. It's the 3rd straight week where Oregon's going to play 3 games, 11 games played in February for the Ducks. That's the most in the Pac-12. Did it catch up with the Ducks on Sunday against Oregon State? Well, Oregon shot 37% from the field. They got pounded on the glass. At the end of the day, though, Kelly Graves said, hey, we watched the film. There were a lot of good shots. Took responsibility for the coaching staff. He said, hey, we can get better shots, but man, the last couple of weeks, there's just been a lid on the rim at Matthew Knight Arena for both of these teams. Coach Graves said that if Oregon looked tired, he'd do something about it. So, hey, that's good enough for me. They'd do something about it if they're tired. But, hey, good chance for Oregon to start another streak here today against UCLA. 4 o'clock is that game with a 3:30 pregame show. And you should tune in to Terry Johns and Bev Smith, who have the call for that game. Hey, key for me in that ball game, got to contain Charisma Osborne, leading scorer for the Bruins, one of the best guards in the entire country. Good news for the Ducks. 3 games played career for Osborne against Oregon. 22 points, pretty good. 13 points, not as good. 8 points. So Osborne has had a little bit of a Duck dilemma throughout her career. That's going to be a key for that game coming up at 4 p.m. on the Oregon Sports Network and carried by Pac-12. Let's get a break. Rob Moseley's going to join us here soon in the Country Financial Studios. It's Duck Insider. Jordan Brenner in for Joey Mack. We're back in a second on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece. And it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're in the Country Financial Studios. Jordan Brenner, joined by Rob Moseley. Thanks for being here, Rob. Busy time of year, huh? Getting going with the spring sports. I want to check in on Rob Moseley. How are you doing?
The overlap has begun.
Yes, it has.
It is here.
It is here. And you're okay?
We get it in.
I want to check in on you.
November-ish.
Uh-huh.
And then we get it in February, March.
And what's harder? What's harder on you?
Well, I will say that football season is more intense. Spring's busier.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a spotlight on football that's different than all the rest.
But hey, we like talking about good programs, and
no doubt
there are a lot of good ones.
No doubt. No, it beats having a real job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beats working for a living.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, before we get to those spring sports, I want to start with men's basketball.
Okay.
Got a big weekend here coming up in the desert.
No doubt.
And hey, they got a win against Washington State. It wasn't always pretty, but I thought the big men in particular, Frank and Foley, they had one of their best games combined of the season. What'd you see from those two?
Yeah, I think with N'Faly Dante, you've always seen the potential, for a star in that big body.
Yeah.
And the first half Monday was the first time that I personally watched him and was like, he might start to become that guy.
Yeah.
That could kind of score at will. That can affect shots. He's not the shot blocker that Frank is.
Right.
Frank obviously, probably gets a few more fouls because he's so aggressive going for blocks, whereas N'Faly's more, shot disruptor.
Yeah.
Which, keeps him out of foul trouble a little bit more, too. Not as good for the sizzle reel, for the highlight reel, but gets the job done. But, yeah, his ability at both ends to really kind of set the tone Monday was really impressive. And then, Frank's energy obviously is just off the charts.
Yeah,
all the time.
Both those guys I thought had a really good energy about them. I think that the Ducks needed that kick. One of the reasons why they needed that kick, I think you look at a guy like Will Richardson, and we can tend to be nitpicky about a guy like Will Richardson, right? First time in 15 games he doesn't score double digits in a ball game. And
the other night I was watching him thinking like, yeah, when Will's really been in a slump now. It feels like a few games. Then you look back and he had 22 against Cal.
Right.
And he was a slow starter along with everyone else in that game, but he tried to put the team on his back in the second half too. So, yeah, I mean, my head was where your head was at watching him Monday. Like, not only does he seem a little off, but it seemed like he's been a little off. But usually, even on those days, he finds a way to get his numbers. I mean, his rebound and assist numbers were still there Monday. So he still found a way to affect the game. But it seems like the last 2 or 3 weeks, he hit that three-pointer at Utah from the logo. And obviously, we talk about nitpicking and small sample size and, the potential to read too much into something. But it seems like we've seen a little bit more of that pull-up from deep, that we saw from Peyton Pritchard, over the years.
Yeah.
And I wonder if hitting that shot at Utah was maybe the worst thing that could have happened to him, because it seems like maybe he's gotten outside himself a little bit. Now, again, that's going on limited information there, but just a question. But, yeah, I mean, he's – for the most part, though, he still has found a way to produce and help his team win.
What I think is interesting, when you have a team struggling offensively, there are kind of 2 ways to go about it, right? There's the Peyton Pritchard, okay, kind of
clear out, let me go to work.
Clear out, here's a 30-footer that I'll put in your face. I actually think it's inherently a really good characteristic that Will Richardson has, that when the team is struggling, he's saying, okay, I know I can get mine when I need to, but I want to go out of my way. I want to go get Jacob Young going. I want to go get Harmon going on the outside. Let's feed the big man. I like that about Will Richardson.
How much of a fine line is that, though? Because I totally get what you're saying, and yet, too, you want your dudes to be dudes, and sometimes you need your dudes to be dudes, and our best guy is better than your best guy, and therefore we're going to beat you, no matter what else you're doing. So, yeah, no, I'm sure Coach Altman, you want to see team-first basketball. You want to see a team-first style, and, over the course of a season, you're probably not going to count on your best guy going for 40 every single night, so you don't want to count on it. You want to be playing within a team concept and playing team basketball. But you do also want to know that if you need it, your best guy can show up and make a shot. And obviously Peyton did that to an immense degree his last year, and Will has that potential too. And so if he's just saving it for a big moment in March, cool by me.
That's fine with me. Hey, sometimes the most unselfish thing a guard could do is look for his own shot, because all of a sudden that eases the defense.
That's what your team needs.
Right.
That's what your team needs, yeah.
Hey, I know you're not Lenardi.
No.
But you do have a finger on the pulse of this stuff.
My pinky maybe.
Pinky maybe.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's enough for me.
Yes.
Where do Oregon's tournament hopes stand today on February 16th, and what does a productive weekend in the desert do for the Ducks?
Yeah, it seems like there's no team that is more on the bubble than Oregon right now. I think Lenardi, after the Cal game, had Oregon as one of the first 4 out. After the Washington State game, had Oregon as one of the last 4 in. And then today, again, first 4 out. So just, on a daily basis, depending on not only your own results, but results around the country, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. As Joey and I have discussed, by losing some games, you probably felt like you shouldn't have lost, particularly in November, December, but most notably recently against Cal, you put yourself in a position of having to win games you maybe wouldn't expect to win, or maybe kind of those outside the program wouldn't expect you to win. When you're going to Arizona and you have a chance to get a couple of wins on the road, and how big a win would a win at Arizona be? And then you have USC and UCLA coming up at home, and have the chance to sweep those schools. The opportunity is certainly there to get yourself off the bubble, no doubt about it. The honest truth is that in 2 weeks from now, Oregon's probably not going to be on the bubble. Oregon's probably going to be definitely in or definitely out.
Right.
And that's exciting and scary, and why they play the games.
That's right. That's right. Hey, for the women, before the loss against Oregon State, Oregon was ranked number 16 in the preliminary tournament seedings.
Right.
fair to say that they have a chance to get back into that 16 with a big week?
Yeah, you're in a different spot. They don't feel like it's their tournament hopes whether they're in or out of the tournament, but they're playing for something different. They're playing to host, but yet still in that same spot where you're kind of right on the edge there, and right now you're probably on the outside looking in, just like the men are. Again, different context, different circumstances, but kind of a similar bit of precariousness. So, and also similar chances coming up to sort of cement your status. And I think for them most notably, you got Stanford on Senior Day here to close out this week. You get that one, and say you get that one to cap a 3-0 week, starting tonight against UCLA. I think they'd probably feel like they made a pretty good case to get themselves back in that top 16.
Yeah.
Again, we could be talking a week from now about how, unfortunately, there's no chance to be in the top 16 now because this week didn't go how they hoped. So both teams really in a position, this week and next to, the range of outcomes is really, fairly wide for both in terms of kind of how things are going to stack up for tournament seedings and things like that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think that we can kind of obsess over things like this.
That's what makes sports fun, right?
Right, but at the end of the day, Coach Graves talked about this on Tip-Off Tuesday, where he's gone into 8 – he has 8 wins in the NCAA tournament as a double-digit seed. So
right.
Really the thing that matters is, hey, we're in.
Yeah.
And are we playing our best basketball of the season?
Well, and Dana Altman made this point after a game recently too. He was asked kind of in the big picture, a lot of the things we've been talking about the last few minutes, what are his thoughts on that? And he says there is no big picture. And that's, for as much as we obsess about these narratives and these storylines and these what ifs and hypotheticals, all Dana Altman's worried about is not giving up 22 offensive rebounds again. All Dana Altman's worried about is not turning it over with a minute left in the game. Kelly Graves wants to see, his guards get going and score, start to hit some outside shots with a little more consistency. Things like that. Wants to get Niara Sabally going after the last couple weeks where she's been a little up and down and, dealing with some injury stuff too. That's been a factor in that. But you want to get your best player going at the right time of year too. So, there's these details to performance on the court that they're obsessing about while the rest of us are obsessing about bracketology and stuff like that. It's two totally different mindsets, and it's conflicting mindsets, and it certainly can lead to some tension on some post-game Zooms, that's for sure.
Yeah, so chance to start another streak today for Oregon women's basketball.
Yep.
I think a key for me is containing Charisma Osborne, leading scorer for the Bruins, and hey, 3 games played career against the Ducks, 22, pretty good, 13 points, 8 points. So Oregon's done a good job historically against her. I think that'll be key again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, is that somebody that, KG just says, Maddie Shear, do your best to slow her down, I mean, because Maddie certainly has that potential as an on-ball defender. And we'll see. But yeah, it's a tough UCLA team to get a handle on because they've been, as Oregon has throughout the course of this year, but I think even more recently than the Ducks, they've been really dramatically shorthanded. And they're just starting, they're at right now where Oregon probably was in early January in terms of just feeling like, okay, now we got everybody. Now we got to develop an identity with our all of our personnel available and quickly before we get to the tournament. I mean, Oregon, fortunately had the whole month of January and into February to do that. They're trying to do it now, but when you're a program like UCLA and you recruit at the level they do, that's just a lot of good, really talented players, including Angela Dugalich, who was here before, and it's just getting back and getting into it for them. So, yeah, it's I'll be really interested to see just how what kind of minutes different players are getting, just how that impacts kind of who they are, because just watching them from afar, obviously they couldn't play here because they weren't going to have enough bodies, and now that's now that the game's been rescheduled, that's not the case. So who are they and what does that look like? Tonight's gonna be really, or this afternoon, I guess, whatever's gonna be really interesting on a lot of fronts.
Want to make sure that we get to the spring sports at least a little bit here today. So Oregon baseball gets their season going, traveling to San Diego Friday night, first game, 6 p.m. Do you get into the expectations game at this point?
Oh, yeah. Just because it's so exciting to think about, to listen to this team and, to look at the returning production and then also some of the newcomers that are here. Yeah, I mean, I'm a seamhead. I love baseball just as a sport, so I get excited for baseball regardless. But kind of where Mark Wasikowski has he's taken the foundation that George Horton built, and then just the intensity, he's just fanatical.
I think he's
maniacal.
He's brought it to the place where now there are some expectations.
For sure.
And that's where you want to be.
Absolutely, yeah. You want to be in the position where if at a preseason press conference you mention the word Omaha, it doesn't cause headlines like, wait, what? Your expectations are what? You want that to be like, well, of course that's what they're thinking about. That's what a college baseball program needs to be thinking about. Right. And so when you get to the postseason as the Ducks did last year, you sort of make that, kind of the new expectation. And then when you have it end in such frustrating fashion as it did last year, you want to be able to raise the bar too. So, when a team loses its weekend rotation and loses hitters the caliber of Zavala and Jovan and Matthews, and yet feels like, hey, this could be as talented a group, if not more so.
We heard that from Tanner Smith.
Right.
There are discussions in the locker room right now that, hey,
right,
we'll look around. The talent's just as good as last year, maybe even better.
Right. So when you hear people talking like that, and Tanner Smith's not a guy who just pops off. I think on the field he probably does. I think
but he's even.
He's a guy who can chirp. But yeah, when he's talking to the media, he is not that guy. And so to have a guy like that say that in that setting, there's weight to it. And so I'm really, really excited to see how this weekend goes, but then get these guys home next week and get a chance to check them out.
5-0 start for Oregon softball as well down in Southern California. Hey, it's a good start. There's a lot more to be done for this program.
But that opening win over Ole Miss, I mean, that was a program that was receiving votes in the top 25.
That's a legitimate win. No
doubt about it. And to do it without Yanez, to do it without Rachel Sid, Rachel Sid had played like every game the previous couple of years, and Yanez was expected to be one of the best pitchers in the country. And so to not have them available, to be going against a legit program like Ole Miss and to look pretty dominant was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And yet for as dominant as some of the performances were, it's a team that kind of struggled to assert its dominance early in some games. So as Missy Lombardi said going into this weekend, she didn't use these exact terms, but I think you want to see a team that expects to win and expects to take control early and expects to kind of assert some dominance early in games and right off the bat punch the other guys in the nose because, you think you're better. So different competition this weekend, but after showing such promise last weekend, you want to see, you want to keep raising the bar now as conference play approaches. Because obviously when conference play approaches, the bar's raised really, really high, whether you're ready to meet it or not.
Well, I hope we see some of that competitiveness against Texas State to start this weekend.
No doubt.
Rematch from the Austin Regional last year.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully it sounds like Sid might be back, so that'll be an infusion. It'd be really, really interesting to see how that impacts the lineup.
Yeah. This is one of Coach Lombardi's deepest teams here in Eugene. A lot of players to get at bats to.
Even last year, I think they used like 50 starting lineups. So they're comfortable moving pieces around day to day and working a lot of people in there, moving people around. So that I don't think that'll be a challenge for them. It'll just be interesting, for us on the outside to see, okay, what decisions are the coaches making and what does that indicate about kind of who they have the most faith in right now. Who they want to get some opportunities to give people some chances to prove themselves, things like that. So, that'll be the box scores will be interesting to watch this weekend.
No doubt. He's Rob Moseley, editor of GoDucks.com. Rob, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
We got Coach Was coming up after this break, previewing baseball season right here on Duck Insider. We'll be back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back here on Duck Insider, welcome back to the Country Financial Studios, brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Jordan Brenner, in for Joey Mack, who's on his way to the airport, getting ready for Oregon's 2-game series in Arizona against the Devils and the Cats. But it's also the start of the spring, which means Oregon baseball's right around the corner. 6 p.m. first pitch on Friday. I'll have you for the call on the Oregon Sports Network. Coach Waz caught up with Joey Mack yesterday and previewed what should be a fantastic 2022 campaign.
It's officially game week for Oregon baseball. Waz, thanks for being here. Coach Mark Wasikowski, I'm looking forward to another great year of baseball. You guys have had a busy offseason, so I want to go back in time for you for just a second, Coach, and walk us through what recruiting's been like in the offseason. You're adjusting to a new ballpark. Just what else happened in the offseason? It was kind of a, just another ho-hum, boring offseason, huh?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. It's great to be back, and we're excited about the year. It's right around the corner, starting this Friday at San Diego, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, the recruiting piece was great. We were back on the road again. Instead of watching stuff on Zoom and acting like you could get a great feel for prospects out there, you actually got to stand next to a dugout again and see how they interacted with each other, see how parents interacted with their kids. That's a big deal. See how the kids played to win, or in some cases maybe chose not to. And just those things, you don't get the grasp of that when you're watching Zoom stuff or video feeds or just, it's really nice to be up in front and in person. And I think that the kids and parents and travel coaches and high school coaches really appreciated the fact that we were back there in present, and so literally from the time that we finished our season, we're allowed to have 3 coaches on the road every day, and we did. And so we wanted to attack it. We wanted to show people that, we had a lot of, I don't know how to put it, but we were saddened with what happened the year before with, so much getting taken away from these young people for, and now all of a sudden we were able to get back out there and be at their games and show them the love and respect that we think that they deserve, and I think they really appreciated it, and that was great.
And you're building on momentum from last season, right? I mean, you guys host a regional. I think a lot of momentum into the offseason. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, tons. I think initially last year at this time the coaches were picking us to finish either last or second to last in our own conference, and when we finish in second place and we host a regional and all that kind of stuff, it really does help in recruiting. People see your facility, see your team develop and grow, see draft picks happen, see a lot of the predictions really come up to look stupid because the predictions were wrong for last year with us. And they do their best. It's preseason predictions. I mean, they're trying to drum up interest in your sport, and they had no reason, I guess, to believe that we were going to be good, and yet we surprised them. So, here we are in another year, and no matter where they pick you to start the season, It's your job to play like the best team and try to win a championship.
You touched on draft picks. A successful program's always going to have some people move on to the pro ranks, right? And you guys had that. Cool to see some of those guys performing at the minor league level, and it's been cool for me to follow them. You got pro ducks, right? That helps with recruiting too, I'm sure. And you do have some pieces to replace, though, now, don't you? There are some leaders that have departed the team, but you do have some coming back as well.
Well, yeah, and to see the kids do so well, Aaron Zavala, to say he was going to be the first pick in the second round last year at this time, people would have probably drug tested me if I was throwing that one out there at that time. He was a very good player at this time, but nobody was predicting him to be the first pick in the second round and go that high. So he played himself into that spot. I think my coaches had a lot to do with outside of that individual player and those individual players' desire to improve. I really give a lot of credit to the coaches that work with him, Coach Martyr and Coach Angier, specifically with Robbie Ahlstrom, Hunter Bro, Colin Kafka. I mean, there were several of these kids that you just saw tremendous growth and development. It starts with the kids. They wanted it. They worked for it. And then for us just to be able to kind of assist them with their path is really the most enjoyable thing about coaching, is just to help young people reach their goals.
Talking baseball with Mark Wasikowski. Season begins on Friday down in San Diego. Home opener next week at PK Park, that new PK Park. We're going to talk about that in a second. Coach, I want to ask you about practice so far. You just finished up your last weekend of scrimmages. What have you seen so far? Give us the breakdown of what you think of this roster. What do you think of your team?
Well, we love our team. We think our team's going to be really good, to be honest with you. We think we've got depth. We think that we do have some pieces that we need to replace that ended up being great pieces. You're talking about your three best hitters or three of the best hitters that you had. And so those guys are gone. Gabe Matthews, a lot of school records. Aaron Zavala, first pick in the second round. Kenyon Yovan, the caveman everybody loves, right? That could really hit and do a lot of fun things on the field. So those three hitters to be replaced. In addition to that, your three starting pitchers from last year. Ahlstrom, Kafka, and Brett Walker, those three guys were really good. They provided us with a lot of innings and really quality innings and starts. And so, with those six pieces being replaced, amongst others, but those six pieces on the highest end side, we've got to have some Ducks elevate their games to where they can step in and replace some of those losses. And that's a time will tell, but we feel confident that we do have those pieces and guys ready to do that.
I want to ask you about some of those position groups. What's the starting rotation? How's it shaking out? Do you have your rotation set? And what's the bullpen look like? Because you got a pretty big-time guy coming back in the pen, too.
Well, it starts with Colby Summers as our closer. He was the best guy in the league last year, and he returns, and so it's great to have Pops back in Duck uniform for, for his senior season again. I guess I don't know if it's red shirt or COVID senior or whatever the heck they refer to him as, but he's back and he's going to be the closer for the Ducks this year. There's really good pieces. Adam Meyer is a transfer. He's a junior right-handed pitcher from Canada. He'll go on game one for us. Game two will be Andrew Mosiello. He was maybe pitched the toughest innings we had last year. He and Colby sure pitched a lot of tough innings. We brought in Andrew last year out of the bullpen pretty much when the stuff was hitting the fan. He was the guy that got the ball and to get us out of a lot of those jams to hand the ball over to Colby Summers. So, Andrew, second slot, Isaac Aon, we saw his big arm last year. He's developed tremendously well with Coach Angier. He looks very good. And then our fourth spot right now, we've got a freshman kid named Tommy Brandenburg out of Washington that's going to get the nod right away. That could have gone in several directions. Caleb Sloan's throwing the ball really well. R.J. Gordon's throwing the ball really well. And so for us to go with the freshman, that just tells you how well he's done in the scrimmages. And then outside of that, I do feel strong about the pieces we have in the bullpen. A transfer from Central Connecticut State named Dylan Sabia. He was their closer. Very good pitcher. He'll be in that bullpen, probably pitching right in front of Colby Summers. And there's so many other pieces, too, that Matt Dallas from Lane College, he's got a big arm. And he's been here for now his fourth year. Christian Schifatelli. I mean, my gosh, he's developed. He really has, and it's fun to watch him pitch now, and we got a chance to see that yesterday in our scrimmage, and it was electric and exciting.
For some of those guys that could go both ways, just how valuable is it to have guys that could pitch out of the bullpen and they're competing for starting rotation spots? I mean, that depth, it sounds like you're pretty excited about it.
We are, and we're scheduled. Our schedule's got, of the 56 games, a lot of 4-game sets on weekends. And so, when you're looking at 36 innings at minimum on the road on a weekend, And then on top of that, you're talking about, maybe even a midweek game when we get into the third week. After we play Santa Barbara, there's a midweek Tuesday game. And so that's a 5-game week set. And so, the pitching depth is going to be tested early.
Talking a little bit about your offense. Mark Wasikowski, we're talking baseball with the Oregon head coach. Your outfield, you return Tanner Smith, you return Anthony Hall, some big leaders for your team out there.
Yeah, big. Tanner Smith's been one of the best hitters in the Pac-12. He's got records with doubles and stuff like that here at the school. He's really good. Anthony Hall, the scouts are all over. He's a big, strong, physical kid playing corner outfield, and he checks a lot of the boxes for the scouts for sure, and he's looking for a monster season this year. He did real well in the Cape Cod League. So did Tanner. So did Josh Kasevich when he comes back, and the scouts are all over him at shortstop. He's a really, really good player. I think there's some really other good players around that diamond as well. Specifically, there's a freshman at first base named Jacob Walsh. He's gotten some preseason honors as well. He's a big, strong kid from Las Vegas, Nevada. Maybe the neatest kid I've coached in my career. I love the kid, and, man, he's really good. Big, strong left-handed hitting first baseman.
Blend of newcomers, experience, transfers, optimism for Oregon baseball. More with Coach Waz after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, you can't stop a new 2022 Toyota. No matter the weather, the Camry all-wheel drive comes out to play. Snowy hills don't stand a chance against the RAV4, and everyone's comfy in the Highlander. See you in the snow. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Dear winter, you can't stop a new 2022 Toyota. No matter the weather, the Camry all-wheel drive comes out to play. Snowy hills don't stand a chance against the RAV4, and everyone's comfy in the Highlander. See you in the snow. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studios. It's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Jordan Brenner here filling in for Joey Mack. Going to be a great day. Going to be a great week of Oregon athletics. Oregon women's basketball gets going today at 4 p.m., 3:30 pregame with Terry Johns. Oregon men's basketball tomorrow with Joey Mack. Oregon softball is in action tomorrow against Texas State, and Oregon baseball starting their season off on Friday against San Diego. And with that, let's go back to Coach Waz for part 2 of his interview with Joey Mack.
The rest of the outfield, if I could stay there for a second. Who else is competing there? Because you do bring back some pieces, Coach, and some guys I've heard you talking about in the past that they've really developed for you in the outfield. The competition there for that last outfield spot.
A lot of competition. Colby Shade looks like he's going to get the nod on opening night, but not by a long shot. Bryce Betcher, local kid from here, South Eugene High School, has really pressed him. And he's played very well, aggressive mentality. We've seen that in the past. They both are very plus defenders. And Colby's just probably both of them have, but Colby has just got the edge on him right now coming out of the scrimmages. So time will tell if it stays like that or not. But there's two great options in those two kids out there. And then around the diamond, Sam Nowitzki's an older guy at third base, tremendous defensively, steady contributor with the bat. Kasevich at short. Gavin Grant returns at second. Again, a very good defender. His offense has improved. And in that second, third base spot is a transfer named Drew Galey from Cal Poly Pomona that is really good. And he's a left-handed hitting guy. He is offensive. He can play defense. He's a combination of it all. So, there's some flexibility there. With Walsh at first, Scanlon amongst others at the catching position. There's a lot of depth there. And then a guy that's just been a great get for us has been Brennan Malone, a transfer from South Carolina. He looks like he'll start as our DH. Kid's got a lot of power. He can really hit. It'd be nice for him to step into Jovan's role there and then run with it would be ideal. We'll see if he can do that.
Well, you took the next question out of my mouth because you just gave us the breakdown of what the Diamond's looking like. But I did want to ask you about the depth at catcher. You bring back Jack Scanlon, but a lot of catchers on your roster. It seems like there's been some good competition there, and you always need more than one backstop, don't you?
Well, you do. And so Scanlon's healthy and he's ready to go. He's been swinging the bat well, which has been a weak point in his game. But defensively, he's always been a stud. Cannon for an arm, great leader. Josiah Cromwell behind him, he's healthy, and that's really the only thing that's kept him out of starting lineups in the past is his health. He's healthy. We've got we actually have 3 freshmen and another transfer. Logan Postian is a local kid as a transfer. He's just not healthy right now. So he won't be healthy enough for us to start the season with, but boy, he's got a ton of talent as well, a grand kid. Other than that, the other 3 freshman catchers, Anson Arrows, Northern California, he was a number 2 rated prospect in the entire state of California last year. He's a switch hitting catcher, and he's got a ton of ability. The other 2 freshman catchers are really good as well. Bennett Thompson from Medford, stud of a kid, and I mean tough. He is a tough Southern Oregon kid that I absolutely think is going to have great days in our Duck uniform. And a kid that came from Northern California as well, named Chase Meggers, left-handed hitter, and he swung the bat very well. So we're excited about what we have at the depth, with the depth of the position, of catcher.
Now that we've gone around and talked a little bit about defense, Coach, do you have a sense of how your lineup's stacking up, and what do you view it as right now?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to dive too much into the 1 through 9s, but we like our pieces, and we think that there's. I think we're going to hit some home runs. I think we're going to be able to drive the ball through the gaps. I like the team speed. I don't know if it's guys that are going to be. Our offense isn't going to be run by the stolen base. Although I think that there's probably many of these guys can steal some bases. It's not going to be a deal where it's a bunt and run kind of a thing. I think the run's going to be good. Probably not elite on the run side of it, and the bunt will be used when we need it. But for me, I want to drive the ball in the gap and hit the ball out of the park, and I think these guys are big, strong, physical kids that can do it, and so it should play into what we want to do.
Talking about the park, I have to ask you about PK Park, Coach. I've gotten a chance to see it, and we'll have more on that throughout the course of the week and next week with the home opener next Friday for the Ducks. Just tell us about the ballpark, and if you could kind of take us back in time through the development of it. I know you were involved in that, and there's so many great people that have helped make this possible. Tell us about the story of how the ballpark renovation came to be.
Well, I mean, initially, I don't know. It starts with Pat Kilkenny. Pat Kilkenny is he's the guy that probably from a financial standpoint has really blessed this program. And let's just make the argument real plain and simple. I mean, without Pat Kilkenny, baseball might not be here. And so, there was, several others in that line as well. Rob Mullins is in there. Some other previous administrators at the University of Oregon that have moved on. Miss Baumgartner, one of them, and so many others. Joe Giansante, Eric Rodell right now is a big part of that thing. And so, I mean, there's a lot of people that were really big into the beginning of this program and worked alongside of Coach Horton to get this thing developed. They did a marvelous job. All we've tried to do with the park now with I won't say renovations because I guess the only thing that's been renovated is the actual turf. And the turf was old, and, those things have a 10-year shelf life, and that turf was past that. And so it needed to be replaced, and they replaced it. But in terms of the other thing, it's just facility improvements. I don't think there's any renovation going on. We've got an amazing ballpark. And west of the Mississippi, it's if it isn't the best park out there, I want to see what is, because it's awesome. And so what they've done now to the field, new turf, it's gorgeous, it plays great, and they've graphicked it up through the Nike, design team, have done all of the fence designs and all of the field designs, and I think people are going to look at it and go, wow, this place is amazing. There's a lot of custom markings out there. We've lessened the height of the fence from an 8-foot fence to a 6.5-foot fence, which allows for maybe some balls to get over the fence, but specifically we've seen that affect the game where outfielders go and make plays over that wall, and it's more exciting. The little short fence in right field no longer exists, so it's a 6.5-foot fence all the way around. So the ball that used to bounce and go over the little short fence in right field, that now bounces and hits the fence. And so if the runner starts at first base, let's call it, he's got a chance to be able to have that 3-base running play and either safe or out at the plate. There's a lot of excitement right now in our scrimmages with guys either being safe or out at home with a 3-base running play. More potential triples. I think it's just going to add a little excitement. It sure does add a lot of beauty and aesthetics. But it's just an awesome place. When they say this is where you work, boy, that's you don't feel like you're working out there. You just feel like, it's such a blessing to walk out there and do what we do. And what a beautiful park, thanks to the people I mentioned amongst plenty of others.
It's so cool for me to hear that. And I love that. It's an improvement, right? There's no need for a renovation. It's just an improvement. I love that, Coach.
No, renovations are when you got to dump and you got to fix it and stuff like that. And this place is... this is Oregon, there's a standard at the University of Oregon affiliated directly with Phil Knight at Nike, and it's perceived as the #1 brand in the entire world and our country, and it's our job to be able to put a product out there that matches the excellence that they have. And so between Nike and Oregon's athletics excellence, that's the mission of the baseball program, is to match that, and we look to do that this year.
I love it. Well, one thing that I do want to add, too, fans, the video board that's going in left field for fan experience at the ballpark, that's a great improvement. You're talking to the audio nerd here, Coach, and I'm just going to tell you, audio-visual, it's going to be great. It's a tremendous improvement to what makes it a great, awesome day at the ballpark, right? That's what we're all going for, awesome day at the ballpark.
That's it. We're trying to get some discounted beers. We're trying to get some discounted food. We've really worked to get that place more exciting and the team more exciting for people to come out and really want to be a part of everything. We're starting our games earlier in the days to where we're not sitting out there 7 p.m. starts, that kind of thing. We're starting at 4 where the sun's out and it's warmer. I'm talking specifically about the early season games to be able to maximize attendance, and I think we're doing things, and there's going to be clearly a product out there people want to see.
Yeah, so for example, home opener next Friday against St. John's. It's a 4 o'clock start. That means a 3:45 pregame show for us on the Oregon Sports Network, and that's the fun stuff, right? It's happy hour on a Friday at the ballpark, right?
That's it.
What else could you want?
Come on out, have a beverage and a dog or whatever.
And a business meeting.
And a business meeting.
Yeah, a business meeting at the ballpark. That's right. What you want. I did want to ask you, Coach, just real quick about the schedule. Just give us your thoughts. Pac-12 is always tough. You're going to end with the Pac-12 tournament coming up, which is going to be fun, and we'll talk about that more throughout the course of the season. Your non-conference schedule in particular, it looks to me like you guys brought in some great opponents, and you're going to go play some great opponents this year.
Well, it's loaded. San Diego traditionally has been on top of that conference, the West Coast Conference, and so we're going to go down there and open down there. We come back home and play St. John's. Traditionally, they're in the top 50 in the country. They're going to come in here in week 2. It'll be our home opener. They're really good. The third week, traditional rival in Santa Barbara. They come into town. We go every other year. We either go to their place or they come here, and we do that because they're the best team in their league. So those are 3 teams that in the non-conference are predicted to win their league. They traditionally are very, very good. And then in the middle of the season during our Pac-12 conference bye week, we bring Ball State in here, and they're predicted to win their conference. That's a team that's always really good. Rich Maloney's their head coach, formerly coached at Michigan, and, man, they're loaded every single year. They're really good again this year, and they're coming in here during our Pac-12 bye week. So it'll be great baseball. It isn't like we've got a bunch of easy layups on the schedule at all. It's going to be competitive and great stuff for the fans.
I love it. Mark Wasikowski, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm looking forward to being out at PK Park. I won't be on the road for the first weekend. We got basketball here at home, but Jordan Brenner's got you covered. Be able to tune into all the games, and we'll have live streams for you for all the home games that aren't on TV, and, of course, the radio broadcast for every single one of them. And, Waz, just thanks for being you, and thanks for taking the time to come in and chat, and looking forward to another baseball season.
Sounds great, Joey.
Loaded non-conference starts with San Diego Friday at 6 p.m. It'll be a 4-game series, a game on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And you heard it from Joey. I'll be making the trip while Joey's finishing up Oregon men's basketball, and hopefully, I don't think this is an arrogant thing to say, hopefully you guys hear as much of me as possible, because that means Oregon men's basketball is going to make a deep run in the NC2A tournament. Let's get a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from the head coach of Oregon softball, Melissa Lombardi, right here on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece. And it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too. Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too. Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/one small step. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
Back here on Duck Insider, we are in the Country Financial Studios. It's brought to you by On Point Community Credit Union. Jordan Brenner in for Joey Mack today. We just heard from Coach Waz, who previewed the 2022 Oregon baseball campaign. Let's go ahead and check in with Coach Lombardi, who spoke with the media yesterday. Big weekend for the Ducks as they head down to the Lone Star State. They start with Texas State tomorrow, then 3 against the Baylor Bears. Going to be a fun weekend. Here's Coach Lombardi.
Coach, pretty impressive beginning to the season. I'm sure you crossed off a lot of the things you wanted to accomplish. What kind of things do you think need to be accomplished coming into this weekend to kind of get your team where you want them to be?
I think the biggest thing is just starting a little faster. I thought we started a little slow, and then as the weekend went on, we got better and better. So can we start faster?
Mostly just wanted to get an update on Brooke and Rachel. I heard you say earlier that Rachel will be available this weekend. And with Brooke, just what's the timeline for her to ramp up to being available for you?
Yeah, excited to have Rachel back. With Brooke, it's just, we want to get her back on the field as quick as possible, and we're just continuing to monitor it. So
you talked about you wanting to start faster from last week, and what stood out to you in a positive manner? What did you come away from the weekend really feeling good about?
Yeah, actually the thing that stood out the most is that if you look over the entire weekend and how we were able to win each ball game, it happened with different athletes. So if you look at each game, you don't see the same athletes coming up big for us. You can see a wide variety from Hannah Galey to KK to Tara to Ariel, pitchers, same thing, defensive plays. So that's what I loved. We keep talking about our depth, and I think that showed it.
Coach, can you talk a little bit more about Hannah Galey? She batted below 100 last season.
a little bit of a surprise to me in the starting lineup at the first game, and she had a pretty successful weekend.
Yeah, I honestly can't say enough. I love how she came out of the gates this weekend, just very confident in all areas. Love how she's swinging the bat, just commanding the outfield. You know, this is her senior year, and she's been with me since day one. And it's been exciting to see what she's capable of doing. I know her and Coach Martyr have worked very, very hard on her swing. She's worked a ton with Coach Reagan on her defense. So just to see things come together for her this past weekend was great.
With the depth of the pitching staff that you have, what kind of determinations are you using to make or to decide who goes into the different situations? Is it just situational? You kind of have an idea ahead of time, you know, who's going to pitch so many innings, pitch counts or whatever, just kind of what that process is?
I think a little bit of everything that you just said. Obviously experience, matchups. We as a coaching staff and our team watch a ton of video on our opponents. So what's going to be the best matchups to the opponent? I mean, I think that's a big, big factor. But a little bit of everything. You know, what I like is for the past couple of years, I've said that we're not so much a young team, but just, you know, a little inexperienced. And we're a team that has elders, and a lot of them. So I think that allows us to have different choices, whether it be on the mound or throughout the lineup and defense.
One of the deepest teams Coach Lombardi has had here in Eugene. Oregon softball in action tomorrow against Texas State. It's a good time to do our Cafe Yum 2-minute drill, brought to you by Cafe Yum. So today we'll start with Oregon women's basketball. Reminder, that game is at 4 p.m. at Matthew Knight Arena as the Ducks and Bruins get going. It's not going to be a Pac-12 contest, though, so you can get your pregame started with Terry Johns and Bev Smith at 3:30 p.m. Oregon men's basketball going to be in action at Arizona State tomorrow at 6 p.m. Softball, as I said, tomorrow against Texas State. That'll be 2 p.m. Pacific time. That'll be available on radio. And then the 3-game series at Baylor, there'll be a doubleheader and then another game as well. That'll be available on ESPN Plus if you want to check out the streams of those games. Then Oregon baseball, first game of the season with me. San Diego, 6 p.m. on Friday. Let's go. We're excited. Adam Meyer getting the Friday night start for the Ducks. Big Cape Cod League. I'm hearing whispers. 97. Big slider. Yeah. Meyer. Then we'll get Muzziello. Aon on Sunday. And then the freshman from Washington out of nowhere, Tommy Brandenburg, on Monday. 4-game series for Oregon baseball. 2-minute drill brought to you by Cafe Yum. Restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington where special diet requests and custom orders are always welcome. Menus and nutrition info at cafeyum.com. Go Ducks! It's Duck Insider.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Look out,